Hi guys, welcome to 365 Days, 365 Concepts. The concept that we're going to understand today is Potter's five forces. Now, sir, what exactly is Potter's five forces? There was an individual named Michael Potter who gave five factors to analyze a particular industry. So, if I want to invest in a particular industry, I should look at these 5 points, these five factors, and analyze whether the industry is good or bad. Sir, what are those five forces? The first one is rivalry among existing competition. Sir, what do you mean by that? The current existing industry players, what is the rivalry among them? How is the competition like among them? So, can you give an example? Let's take smartphone industry as an example. I'm not talking about luxury smartphones. I mean, not expensive smartphones, 30, 40,000, that range. There are so many smartphones that are available. There are so many options that are there. The rivalry among the existing players, it's huge. So that means the competition is huge. That means, are they doing great business? Yes, they are, but they cannot be complacent, right? So, sir, if the rivalry is huge in that industry, sir, the industry is not great prospect to be, to be invested in. Or if the rivalry is extremely low, sir, then it makes it a great prospect to be invested. That's the first point. Sir, second, threat of entry, sir. Sir, what do you mean by threat of entry? We are talking about barrier to enter a particular industry. Sir, can you give an example? Tomorrow, if I have to start my own automobile company, it is going to take hundreds of crores. The plant alone would cost hundreds of crores. So plant, the place where I'm going to manufacture car and bikes, like Ola required huge amounts of money. So anyone who would want to enter this industry would think twice before entering. That means the existing players would feel secure that nobody new will enter quickly because the capital expenditure that is required is huge. So, sir, if the barrier to entry in that particular industry is high, that means the industry is a good prospect to be invested in. But if it is low, sir, it is not a good prospect to be invested in. Sir, low, what do you mean by that? Let's take an example of Instagram and YouTube. Anyone can become an influencer, can start a YouTube channel, not a lot of money that is required. So the existing set of people would always have, that sense of fear that somebody else would take over whatever they are doing or be better than them. I'm not saying that competition is bad, but what I'm saying is that the barrier to entry is very low. Or starting a clothing brand. So again, very low. Sir, the next, what is that point, sir? Threat of substitutes is what is the next power? Sorry, force. Sir, what do you mean by threat of substitutes, sir? Sir, in an industry, if there are a lot of substitutes that are available for the product of that industry, that means that prospect to invest in that industry is not that great. Sir, again, smartphone as an example we can take. A lot of options that are available are there, sir. People can easily switch. People can easily switch from one phone to another phone, stuff like that, sir. The substitutes that are available are huge. So, sir, a consumer would not think twice. If something becomes expensive, he can quickly switch because the substitute that is available. Sir, can you give another example, sir? There is commodity also. Sir, we talk about wheat, sir. Sir, there's an option for wheat, sir. There are a lot of substitutes for wheat, sir. There is bajra, there are other types of millets. Sir, there is jawar as well, sir. There are so many options, right? Anyone, consumer can easily switch. Sir, so the threat of substitute is huge. Sir, so what does that tell about a particular industry? If the threat is high, then, I mean, we've already discussed the prospect to invest is low, but if the threat is low, the prospect is high. Sir, a threat is low, sir. What do you mean by this? Tomorrow, let's say, for example, my company develops a cure for cancer. Okay, sir. And I patent that cure or that drug, whatever drug that I develop. Okay, sir. Patent is there. That means what, sir? There is nothing else that can substitute my particular drug. Nobody can, copy my formula, can use the same chemicals, whatever that may be. I've patented it. So the point is that if the substitutes, the threat is high, it's not great to be invested in. But if it's low, it's a great prospect to be invested in. So what's the next point, sir? The power of buyers, sir, that matters. If the buyers of that particular industry, people who are buying the product of that particular industry, sir, if the buyer have huge power in that industry, that means it is not a great prospect to be invested in. Sir, give us an example, sir. Now, in the times of COVID, our Indian companies invented COVID vaccine. Okay, sir. And government bought those vaccines from them. And government bought at a particular fixed price. Government dictated their terms. Sir, dictated terms, that means literally they were forced. I mean, the terms and conditions were on the basis of, what government decides, because government was the sole buyer. It was the only person buying those. So, the companies who were selling vaccines could not argue that, I want a better price. I want this. Can you please give me a premium pricing? I'll sell you for the X amount. No, no. Government says this is what the price is. Please sell it to me. That means, sir, if the power of the buyer of the product of that industry, sir, if it's huge, that means it's not a great prospect to be invested in, because the sellers of those industry, the people of those industry players would never be able to dictate terms as per their, profitability. Sir, but if the bargaining power is low, it makes it a great prospect to be invested in. Sir, what is the last point, sir? We're talking about power of suppliers. The suppliers of those industry, if the bargaining power is huge, that means that industry is not a great prospect to be invested in. Sir, so if the bargaining power of supplier is huge, sir, not a great prospect. Sir, what do you mean by bargaining power of supplier? Let's take an example of Microsoft. Microsoft is the only company who's supplying the operating system. Of course, there are a few more, but like a big player, right? So, sir, it can dictate terms, sir. So, if a particular industry I talk about, sir, the supplier of that industry is Microsoft, sir. Okay, sir, so Microsoft can dictate terms however it wants. Or we take another example, sir. EV, the batteries of electronic vehicles are made out of lithium ion. And the reserves of lithium ion are very less, let's say, for example, in our country. And whoever owns the mines, there are very few people who own the mine. And, EV manufacturers would ultimately, for their battery, need lithium ion. Basically, for EVs, lithium ion, becomes a supply, and people supplying it becomes supplier. Okay, sir, we get it. Sir, so what are you trying to get at? Sir, the lithium ion supplier have huge bargaining power. They have control because they know whatever we are giving this EV company is rare, is nowhere to be found, and we are the only suppliers, so we can charge whatever the hell we want. And that is what power of supplier is. And that was your Potter's 5 forces. You obviously analyze all of them together to check a particular industry. I hope you guys understood everything. Please feel free to ask any doubts in the comment section, and like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you guys in another concept. Bye bye.